Now, with victory mostly in hand, Mali's interim president is setting his terms for reconciliation talks with some of the country's rebels, but not all. DeCapua Traore is ruling out dialogue with Islamist militants, saying he is only open to talks with secular Tuareg rebels. The Tuaregs first launched a rebellion in the north last January seeking autonomy, but later joined the Islamists to seize control of the region following a coup that toppled the government. The Islamists later pushed the Tuaregs aside and moved to impose strict Islamic law. Mr. Traore told French radio Thursday he would consider negotiating with the Tuareg movement for liberation of Azawad or MNIA, but he says it must first drop its territorial claims.
France's defense minister warns that Mali's warring factions must be reconciled for the country to be stable. VOA's West Africa correspondent Anne Look is now embedded with French troops in Mali. VOA's DeCapua spoke to her by phone a short time ago as her convoy headed north toward the city of Gao.
Military convoy were bringing food and gas up to French troops that are fighting in the north. We're headed all the way north to Gao, which was retaken last Saturday from the Islamists. These kind of logistical movements are key to keeping the forces active and the forces moving. This convoy, for example, we're more than 40 vehicles. We're almost 3 kilometers long. Yeah, we're just making our way slowly up to the north.
And can you tell us about reports that at least 2 Malian soldiers were killed today when their vehicle drove over a landmine?
We are getting reports that 2 and possibly as many as 4 Malian soldiers were killed outside of Gao last night as they were moving in a military convoy from the military base in Severe up to Gao. It appears that one car in a military convoy hit a landmine near Gossi, which is about 175 kilometers outside of Gao. So, we don't have military confirmation on that, but a relative of a soldier in the convoy did tell VOA that it did happen. Keep in mind that the military haven't been confirming things like casualty figures and giving out information on that kind of thing. What's disturbing about that is that it does seem to confirm fears that the Islamists did mine roads or did leave kind of booby traps for troops coming in, something that we've been hearing from residents of towns like Gao for a while.
And have you heard any more information about the government possibly negotiating with either the Tuaregs or the rebels?
Yeah, Mali's interim president, DeCapua Traore, he spoke with RFI this morning. It was his first interview pretty much since this intervention began about 3 weeks ago. And when it came to the topic of negotiations, initially keep in mind that they were intending to negotiate with the Malian-led groups in the north, which would have been the Tuareg separatist group, the MNLA, and the Islamist group, Ansar Dine. Now, DeCapua Traore is saying that they will not negotiate with Ansar Dine in light of the hostilities that have happened in the past few weeks. And he also kind of dismissed this idea that a segment of Ansar Dine has broken off and tried to say, no, they really want negotiations and all this. He dismissed that and said, nope, it's a bit too late for that. He did say that they would be willing to negotiate with the MNLA. Keep in mind the MNLA are more of a secular rebel group, but he said they must give up their demands for independence in northern Mali for the state of Azawad that they declared last year. MNLA appear to still be around Kidal, which is kind of last major rebel stronghold in the north. The French took the airport in Kidal on late Tuesday, but we haven't really gotten any confirmation on whether or not they've gone to the town or what's really happening there. Communications are cut to Kidal. But there is a bit of concern just that the Malian troops aren't in Kidal yet and weren't along on that. The speculation is perhaps that there will be some negotiations happening with the MNLA and, that perhaps this is what's going on with Kidal.
And have you had a chance to talk to any of the French troops to get their view on what's been going on in Mali?
No, for strategic and security reasons, they don't really give much detail. The French defense minister did say today that the mission was accomplished, that this taking of this airport in Kidal did mark kind of an end to a first phase, and what he said, mission accomplished. He's been promising that French troops will not be deployed for a long period of time in Mali, etc., but he did say that it didn't seem like they'd be able to pull them out immediately, which has been a concern here in terms of as these 3 towns have been taken with actually no fighting in many cases, which has raised a lot of concerns that the rebels had already fled, that they are regrouping, that they've dispersed, and that, in all honesty, the first phase could be over, but the second, and perhaps more likely much harder phase, is yet to begin. That's something that Mali's interim president touched on this morning as well in his statements. It was a very internal conflict in Mali and various ethnic groups in northern Mali, and tensions between northerners and the central government in Bamako. So there's a very local element, a very local dynamic, and that also needs to be dealt with.
Well, that was Anne Look speaking with VOA's DeCapua, and she's in Mali.